Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Mitch over at IndySoft. It is Tip Tuesday. I hope everyone is continuing to stay safe and healthy as we all kind of continue to navigate our way through the COVID-19 situation and pandemic. With that said, I actually want to kind of tailor the Tip Tuesday today around the COVID-19 situation. We've had several customers that are actively using a product that have reached out to us and inquired about different ways to extend their calibration cycles due to things like plant shutdown periods, or simply put, just lower consumption and usage of their tools and their calibrated devices. So what I want to show you is a tip involving the event system and some schedule update rules that we can configure for different types of situations like this. Okay, so essentially what we've got is, a lot of our accounts have had, whether the downtime of the factory or the plant was a month or 60 days or 45 days, a lot of customers have unfortunately had to go through that. So what we can do actually is you can create like a simple checkbox here, like you're going to see here. I've created something called a COVID-19 extended flag. And as you guys all know, to create a flag, that's simply put, just go into your preferences. And I just did mine by company here. And you'll see here I'm using custom field or status 6. Okay, so that's going to show up. Now, when we do this though, typically you want to do this in batch, right? You want to go and say, okay, this entire department, this entire production line, etc. We want to go and extend those due dates by a period of time. And typically for most of our customers, that period of time was the period of any shutdowns that you may have had. So to do such, show you in this video how you can set up like a quick schedule extension event. Okay, so the way this works is I'm going to run the event first, and then I'll go back and show you how I configured it for you. So in here, I have got this COVID-19 schedule extension event transaction. And if I click on that, this is an event like you are all accustomed to running. However, in your multi-gauge events, we can go and add equipment by a filter. I can simply go in here and say, okay, I want to do this by every piece of equipment that belongs to Department 213-9. I could easily go in here and do something like that. Just look from a department field. We'll say 213. And actually, I think I've got that spelled out as Department 213-9 this way. So let's assume that this department was shut down for, let's say, 45 days. Okay, so I'm going to take all these assets and add those into the event period. Okay, so each of these has their own respective due dates, cycles. Some of these gauges might have a 6-week cycle, some may have a 45-day cycle, some could have a 12-month cycle. But essentially, I've just added a custom field here that says, well, how many days did we have any type of a shutdown? So I'm going to say 45 in this case. And you can look here on the screen that this particular piece of equipment, it was due back on May 1st. And again, I'm just going to go and increase this by another 45 days. Okay. So of course you may want to add comments in, extending due dates per company policy, etc. That's certainly possible here. And then when we hit finish, what's going to happen is for those, 10, 11, 12, 13 records, what I just did is the software automatically checked that COVID-19 extended flag for us, and it also extended out my due date. My original due date was May 1st, 2019, and it extended it another 45 days on this particular record. So the concept there being actually is one is extend the due date based on the shutdown period. We don't want to change the frequency and interval, and certainly don't want to modify that last date performed because you need that information for your audits. In the history grid, we're also going to show that history of where we just performed that transaction to extend the due date. So that's going to show up in your history grid. As most of you know, you can also configure like a new calibration label. If you want to add that onto your event, you most definitely can do that as well. Okay, so how did I go about setting that up? Well, actually, before I show you that, let me show you what it would mean if we want to remove that flag, right? So let's say that the plant's open back up and we just want to go in and uncheck that checkbox. Certainly we could do it with just manually checking the box. However, but you can go in here and configure an event just to reactivate this item. So I'll just run my event called COVID-19 reactivation. It's a real simple event. All that this transaction is going to do is unflag that checkbox, and you can see that happened automatically. So it's just a way to show an auditor that yes, we did extend the due date, and then we're going to remove it from that extension as well. Okay, so what I really want to show you guys though is how I went about configuring the initial event called the COVID-19 schedule extension. So in workflow configuration, which I have that open already, I built a little event just called COVID-19 schedule extension, and there could be some necessary fields that you want to add in. As you guys know, you have all the options here on step 2, but what I'm taking is I'm taking one of my user defined fields, and I'm calling that my shutdown days. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm making a field to capture how many days the plant was shut down. So then over under step 7, what we actually have is for each of your schedule rules. In this case, I'm just talking specifically about calibration, but you could also do this for maintenance, service, repairs, any type of schedule that you may have. But one of the options that we have in your schedule update rules is we give you the ability to increase or decrease a schedule in days by the value from user defined 1. So again, user defined 1 was the field that I called shutdown days. How many days was the plant or the factory shut down? So now I do want to point out, now while this video is not about all of these other various options in here, there are quite a few configurable areas in which you can go and modify the response and the activity of how your schedules get updated. Okay, so in this particular one, we're going to go in and increase, decrease the schedule in days by the value that we input in user defined 1. And that's as simple as that. Now, what I also did is I had a rule in here that was flagging status number 6 to be true. That's that field over here called COVID-19 extended. Okay, so to run this one more time, and let me bring this due date actually up to kind of current times here. Let's bring that up to 2019 and 2018 due dates. So I'm just going to move this around. So let's assume again we had a piece of equipment that it was due, back, or it was calibrated last year on April 1st. Again, it's due this April 1st, or well, a couple of months back. But let's say that again the plant was shut down. So what you can do is if the plant was shut down, again, you may want to extend that due date based on that period. So we can go in and build that event out. You'll have something like this, COVID-19 schedule extension. In this case, I'll just add that one particular item. But in here, let's say in this case, the plant was shut down for, let's just say 75 days. Well, when I hit finish and complete that transaction, what it's going to do is increase that due date, back out to be now in this case June 15th, which is still past due in this case. But the concept being is we have tools that will help you manage extending your due dates if necessary with various different options. So I do encourage you, if you have situations like this, explore your options in workflow configuration under step 7, because there are quite a few things out of the box that can really automate that process as opposed to you guys pulling up gauges one by one and extending due dates if necessary. So as always, please let me know if you have any questions at all. Don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. And in closing, please continue to be safe, and I look forward to seeing you all face to face, hopefully very soon again. Take care.